Growth hormone, IGF-1. You take them together, you take them separate. Do you do one in the off season, one pre-contest? I'm going to let you know after this.
I created Species Nutrition with one mission in mind: to provide bodybuilders and serious athletes with no-nonsense supplements that work. I put my name and reputation on every bottle of Species Nutrition products. If you want to be your absolute best, join the evolution.
RS Television, rsmuscle.com. This is Ask Dave, your weekly 30-minute question and answer show with Dave Palumbo. All your questions, bodybuilding, diet, training, supplementation, or non-bodybuilding, this is your forum to get your questions in for Dave Palumbo. We go right to the questions. The first two questions on the show from the Dave Palumbo Experience app. Why has masteron and primo become so popular in the YouTube bodybuilding community as of late?
I can certifiably tell you that there is a direct correlation between the most popular steroids and the ones that are the least available. Primo, for the last, I can't even remember how many years, it's been so hard to get, and a lot of the primo out there is completely fake. So everyone wants it because they can't get it. It must be the greatest steroid, right, if you can't get it. That's always the way it. And the funny thing is that primo and winstrol are pretty comparable in terms of how they work. Having said that, lately, all of a sudden, masteron has been hard to get. The raw materials have not been coming in from China reliably. And so now people are panicking because that's kind of like a mainstay in most people's contest prep now, because masteron also blocks estrogen receptors. So that's the real reason why they're both so desirable. Are they replaceable? Of course they are. There's so many anabolics out there. I mean, obviously, number one, testosterone. Everyone uses testosterone for mass, for retaining muscle while dieting. And then you stack it with something else. Masteron's a very nice thing to stack it with pre-contest. Primo for people who are not looking to get a lot of side effects, possibly for women who want to use it, it's a very desirable steroid. The problem is, once again, because they're not that readily available, you have to be very, very wary of when you buy your stuff, is it real? And luckily for us, Bill Llewellyn has created an awesome testing kit, which I sell at DavePalumbo.com because it is so great. I wish I invented it. I didn't. It's called Roy Test Kits. I highly advise that anything you put into your body these days that's underground, that means not coming from a pharmacy, test it. It's $20 or $22 a tester. It'll save your life if you're a woman, especially if you're trying to use like Primo or Anavar. And it turns out the Anavar is really D-bol and the Primo is really test propionate. You don't want to put that stuff in your body. So make sure you test your stuff. But yeah, that's the reason. It's always whatever's not available is what's the most desirable.
Second question. Again, these first two questions on the show from the Dave Palumbo Experience app. Second question, GH or IGF-1, take them both together or at separate times during the course of the year?
This is what I used to do. When IGF became available, I would do IGF-1 in cycles in the off season, because IGF-1, as the name indicates, insulin-like growth factor 1, okay, has an insulin-like effect. So when you take it, it drops your blood sugar initially. Not a good idea if you're dieting on low carbs, right? You don't want to go low because then you got to eat more food and that's going to mess your diet up. So IGF-1, not a great drug to take while dieting. Plus, it really doesn't have that many fat. It doesn't have any direct fat burning effects. It has some indirect fat burning effects because it does stimulate your metabolic rate a little bit. Growth hormone, however, has a direct fat burning effect. It mobilizes fat from the fat cells. So that's a great drug to take while you're dieting. Plus, growth hormone causes your liver to release natural endogenous IGF-1, which will give you the muscle building effect. So growth hormone is good to use pre-contest. IGF better off season. because you can eat more carbs with it. You don't have to worry about going low. And I think that's always the way I did it. Now, in the off season, what I would do is I would do like 4 weeks on IGF-1 and then take 2 weeks off, because IGF-1 receptors downgrade really quickly. But I would take growth hormone on the 2 weeks that I was off from the IGF-1. So you can do that, or you can just do GH and IGF-1 off season, and then 4 weeks on the IGF-1, 2 weeks off, 4 weeks on, 2 weeks on. So you can do them together off season. Pre-contest, I wouldn't recommend it. By the way, these 2 questions were from the Dave Palumbo Experience app. It's an app that you can download for your Android phone or your Apple iPhone, and you get it from the App Store. It's $29 a month. You get me as your coach in your back pocket. You get access to all my writings, all the videos I've ever done in an organized fashion. I answer everyone's questions in an open forum, so you get access to everyone's questions and answers. It's a great learning experience. I do a Q&A video exclusively for the app members. So it's like an extra Ask Dave every single week. Only the app members have access to. Also, you get my keto diet, my cyclical keto diet. You get my off-season diet. You get all my drug cycles in there, off-season, pre-contest, men, women. It's a great resource. And if you're really interested in expanding your knowledge base and constantly adding to it as new stuff becomes available, this is a great app to belong to. Once again, it's something that you'll be learning from, because there's constantly new questions and answers on there every single week. And we've had some great feedback. I've been doing this for a couple of years, and you know what? The membership is tremendous. It supports the fact that I'm putting a lot of work into this app, and I want to thank you guys for supporting all these years.
Before we go to the rest of our questions, special week at Titan Medical Center, our good friends, Titan Medical Center. So Cherise, co-owner of Titan Medical Center, this week is her 40th birthday. So happy birthday, Cherise. So in conjunction with that, with her 40th birthday week, they're having a special all week. So all you have to do, you the user, text Titan Medical Center. We'll put the number in the article description below, or message them with their top goal. So express your top goal, and they will send something for you if you're choosing at a private discounted rate.
Wow. I know Cherise is going all out. She's really psyched that she's turning 40. And we'll all be seeing the whole Titan crew at the Tampa Pro Show that first week in August. Sid's going to be there. I'm going to be there. Amon's going to be there. Titan will be there. And you know who they're flying in? They're flying in Mike O'Hearn. So Mike O'Hearn,
nice.
Our good friend Mike O'Hearn will be there. We'll get to do some fun interviews with him and break his balls a little bit. And it's going to be a great weekend. Tim Gardner throws an awesome show, and I'm really happy I'm going this year.
Let's go to the rest of our questions, primarily from our YouTube community page. Go on our page, click on the post tabs, and that's where you'll be able to ask questions for the show. My TRT protocol is 1 ml injection testosterone enanthate every 2 weeks. The vial comes with a 1 ml syringe and needle. How can I divide the dose evenly across the 2-week period?
So he has one vial that has 2 mLs in it, and he takes 1 ml each week. And
it's a 1 ml. 1 ml.
Then it's 200.
Well, actually, no. So he takes 1 ml. The vial comes with a 1 ml syringe and needle.
Right, but how many mLs is he doing at a time?
That he does not express.
I'm assuming he wants to make the thing last 2 weeks, so maybe take half the vial on Monday, and then the following Monday take the other half. So make the vial last 2 weeks. Then I only do 80 milligrams of testosterone a week, so that vial is probably 200 milligrams per ml. So take half of it 1 week and half of it the other week. That would be 100 milligrams a week. I think that would be spaced out better. If you want to really be neurotic about it, you could take a quarter of the vial, which would be a quarter of a cc or 25 units on an insulin syringe on Monday, and then another 25 on Friday, and then another 25 on Monday, and another 25 on Friday. So you would take 2 shots a week. So you'd basically be doing 50 milligrams twice a week, and that would cover you for 2 weeks at 100 milligrams total per week. And I think that would be the best way to space it out.
So we've gotten this question now for the last 3-4 episodes. I'll address it now. It's about kosher food, and is there any truth to kosher food being better quality than non-kosher? He says that online. There seems to be, I guess, if you want to call it conspiracy theories, but is there any validity to kosher meat prepared in a different way that may actually be cleaner and healthier than non-kosher meat?
I think the whole theory is that with the kosher is the way they kill the animal, they slit the throat and they bleed the animal out. Supposedly, it's supposed to be more humane than when a lot of these processing plants that just process regular beef. I think they just put a bolt in the animal's head or something like that to kill the animal, and supposedly that causes the release of a lot of adrenaline, and it can change the taste of the tissues. You know what the truth is? I'm not an expert on butcher. We should get Guy Cisternino here. He's the butcher, him and his dad. And maybe they can give us some insights to that. I'm not really sure in terms of a health perspective if it's any different. In terms of the humane, or maybe a taste of the meat situation, that could be a factor. But I don't know about it in terms of, now there are kosher rules, like putting aside how they kill the animal, like a lot of kosher people don't eat like shellfish and stuff like that because they think they're scavengers, like lobsters and crabs and stuff like that. They won't eat that stuff. And that might have some validity because, but I'm not sure. Like I said, I don't know if there's any health benefit to eating kosher meat versus regular meat. I can't give you a definitive answer on that.
This past month on After Hours, John Romano mentioned that his libido is at an all-time high. Any ideas on the changes he implemented? Romano does love his cialis, but there's got to be other changes. Would be good to hear you discuss this in detail with him, but I guess any lifestyle changes that you're aware of from John?
None that I know, but I think he's on the same HRT he always takes. I know he takes daily cialis for his prostate, which would help. That really wouldn't help libido. It just helps with erections, So cialis basically doesn't make you have a desire to have sex more. It just, if you want to have sex, it makes it easier because it increases erections. So I think a lot of people confuse the ability to have an erection with the desire to have an erection. So you have to have both in there, because you can get an erection, but if you're not really interested in having sex, you're not going to want to do it anyway. I think a lot of guys do walk around with low testosterone. I look at blood work all the time, believe it or not. And what I notice is that a lot of guys are not necessarily low, but they're like 400. And for them, it is low because when they were younger, they were like 850, 900. And so the doctors are telling them they're fine because they're not in the low range, which is below 250. But yet for them, that's low, and they don't realize it. And then some of them will go on HRT just to try it out. And all of a sudden they feel like, oh my God, my whole life has changed. I feel my sex drive is good. I'm recovering better. And they really only double their testosterone maybe up to 800, but it makes a huge difference. And my theory on this is, I've talked about this before, is that exogenous testosterone, even if you take only a small amount and get yourself into the physiologically high range, it has a better muscle building and a better libido building effect than if you had a physiologically higher testosterone and got you into that range. The exogenous administration does something a little different. And that's why I think people feel so good on hormone replacement, especially I'm talking about testosterone replacement. That's the best I can explain it. But I notice a difference too. Like I could be at the same level naturally versus on exogenous, and the exogenous just feels better.
Money-wise, and we do get a lot of questions recently about creatine, about 5 mg versus 10 mg, but this is specific to just money-wise. Do you think the potential cognitive benefits of going above 5 mg of creatine are worth it?
I never really went above 5. I don't really go that high because every time I raise my creatine levels up, I get like an upset stomach. I don't think I handle a lot of creatine well. I don't think my body is low on creatine. I think I probably have enough creatine in my system that if I take 5 grams of like our creolized from Species Nutrition, that's enough. I don't want to do any more than that. And if I take more, I just kind of get an upset stomach and I don't really feel a better pump from it. So I I think for most people, if you consistently use 5 grams every day, you don't have to do more than that. Now, the original Bill Phillips started this whole thing with like loading years ago. Do 20 grams a day or 10 grams a day for like the first week until you load it up, and then you can drop down to 5 grams, a day. And most guys just got really bad diarrhea for the first week. I don't think you need to rush it. I think after 2 or 3 weeks on creatine, you're maximally loaded anyway. I think it was really a selling scheme that they did to try to sell more creatine. And I know there's a cognitive supposed advantage when you get to that 20 or 30 gram per day range. But I think for bodybuilders, that's dangerous because creatine does have to be processed by the kidneys. And the waste product of creatine is creatinine. And what you're going to take too much is that your blood creatinine level is going to be very high. Now, that could be, most of the time, that's artificially inflated because of the creatine you're taking. But I have to imagine it puts a strain on the kidneys. So, and the kidneys are already working hard enough in bodybuilders who are borderline high blood pressure, who are eating an enormous amount of protein that needs to be deaminated and eliminated by the kidneys. So I wouldn't go crazy on the creatine if I was a bodybuilder and I were you guys out there. I would stick with 5 grams a day.
How long is this, Dave? How long following your keto diet should one go without a cheat meal, especially when they had a vacation bender eating everything on site, everything in sight, and now becoming a fat ass? How long should I go without any carbs or any cheat meals before I begin to incorporate cheat meals while training, of course?
It's a good question to ask, and I'll tell you what the right answer is. The wrong answer, which is what your natural instincts would say, is, all right, I was away for a week. I ate everything in sight. I feel like a bloated, terrible mess. I'm not going to do any cheat meals for the next 6 weeks now to make up for it so I can lose all that weight. It's unrealistic. It's not going to happen. Now, if I get back on Monday from a trip that I took, for the past week, I might not have a cheat meal that first weekend. Okay. If it depends really how I look at the end of the week. A lot of guys will just it's mostly water. And by the end of the week, the Friday, they're all that, carved up, glucose loaded water retention that they have is gone and they're depleted and they actually look good. And in that case, you could have a cheat meal. In the worst case scenario where you might have put on a few pounds because you ate just like horrendously and you drank a lot of alcohol, you might want to wait a full week. So if you come back on a Monday, you go through the whole week, you skip the Saturday, Sunday, you normally would have a cheat meal. And then the following weekend, I would have the cheat meal back. It's not realistic to think that you're not going to have a cheat meal for the next 6 weeks. You're going to go crazy and you're going to cheat anyway. So you don't have to punish yourself for going away. You're allowed to go away on vacation and have a good time. A lot of us almost prep for that, right? You dieted for 12, 16 weeks prior to going away so that you can look great on the vacation and you can eat. So it's okay that you rewarded yourself. You don't need to punish yourself in the next 6 weeks. 1 week off, deplete all that water and garbage off, and then start your cheat meals once a week again.
Good one here. We often do get questions from, an older audience with questions as far as, when is it too late to get started in bodybuilding and getting on a cycle? Well, this question is about, at what age do you think that we should stop anabolics? I'm taking 750 test, 500 deca or EQ, and 250 tren enanthate a week, usually one time a year, switching them around in a 16-week cycle and then off completely. So in your opinion, obviously I'm sure it's a very nuanced explanation, but is there a magic age in which one should stop anabolics?
I'm here at the Masters Nationals. Obviously, I'm in a hotel room. And I'm backstage, and I'm talking to the guy who won the 70 and over class. And the guy looks amazing. He has no injuries, nothing. And I'm like, listen, I said, I know what the answer is already without even asking. I said, I bet you started lifting late. He goes, I just started like I think he started like a few years ago. And I'm like, what made you decide to start lifting it in your 60s? He's like, I just didn't like the way I looked and I want to get in shape. And he had a propensity for it and his body just transformed because at an older age, he has no injuries because he hasn't been lifting his whole life. His body is, I don't know if I didn't ask him if he's doing anabolics, assuming he's doing some anabolics. His body probably is like a sponge. The receptors were really good because he was natural his whole life. And his body responded really well. So in that situation, you ask me when should he stop? He just started. So I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. If he has no side effects, he is not running high blood sugars and high blood pressures, and everything is checks out on his blood work, then let him have fun. If you've been doing anabolics for 20 years, however, at some point, it might be prudent to say, okay, you know what? I don't think I'm going to do any more cycles. I'm going to stick on hormone replacement, but I'm not going to do any crazy cycles anymore because it's not going to benefit me any. However, there is an exception to that rule. If you're still competing and you are competitive and you enjoy what you're doing and your health markers are good, you have no blockages, your coronary arteries, your blood pressure is good, your blood sugars are running good, then by all means, you're obviously not overdoing it, and your blood work looks good, your kidney functions good. Yeah, keep going. Why not? There's no rules in stone. It's only the rules that you make for yourself. I know my body. I went hard for the 13 years I took, anabolics. I was 320 pounds. I was, pushing maximum muscle mass. I was pushing insane weights in the gym. I knew that if I continued on that path, and even though I wasn't using the amount of anabolics that some of these guys use today, it was enough to still stress. But just being that weight, it's not the anabolics, it's that weight that you're putting the stress on your organ systems, your heart, and all that stuff. I knew it wasn't something that I was going to be able to do indefinitely. So I started working in the other direction to try to take it down to hormone replacement levels, to cut back my food a little bit, to slowly lose muscle so it's not like all of a sudden. And that was my reality. You have to assess yourself. I can't tell you when you should stop taking anabolics, but if you have health issues and you're running high blood pressures and you don't feel so hot, you might say, this is a warning sign. Let me stop now before something serious happens. And that only you can answer. Only each person can individually answer that question. Just be honest with yourself. That's all.
So this next question, coincidentally, kind of acts as, I guess, somewhat of a follow-up. It's another age-related question. Your thoughts on estrogen conversion as we age? Do most convert more or less as father time creeps up?
The more fat cells you have, the more you convert to estrogen usually. There's also a genetic component. If you get your DNA tested, I have a DNA testing kit we call it. It's called DNA Power. A lot of you guys have gotten tested with it. You buy it on DavePalumbo.com. You get the kit sent to you. You do the swabs, the cheek swabs, you send it in. They test your DNA and then they call you up and they go over all the results of you. But the key is one of those tests will test for that. It will tell you, how much of an estrogen converter you are. I'm not a very high estrogen converter. However, I am a high DHT converter. So I convert more of my testosterone to DHT than I do to estrogen. And that's not going to change with age. Now, I have very low fat levels on my body. So once again, the fat cells are where a lot of that aromatization occurs. The weird thing about what I just told you is that I had bad gynecomastia, however, when I was younger. And that was just it wasn't a matter of that I had super high estrogen. I just had a lot of glandular tissue. So like some girls have big boobs, some men have bigger boobs, and those boobs will respond to even low levels of estrogen. So there's really no ideal amount. I don't really see an elevation in estrogen conversion as people get older, unless they're like big marijuana smokers, because that can cause some aromatization. But by and far, you don't want to lower your estrogen too much. I don't think guys on hormone replacement should be on Arimidex unless they have excessively high estrogen levels. And I just haven't seen that, although I'm sure there are some people that do convert very highly to estrogen.
Take a couple of more questions. This a bit of an interesting one. I'm not sure what angle you want to approach this from, but is bodybuilding considered more of a, quote, gay sport than a hetero sport? Many straight men want to look good and be strong, but the stigma has stuck.
I think that there's whatever the representation in the population is for gay men versus straight men, I think it's similar in bodybuilding. I think a lot of gay men look at bodybuilding. They used to look at the bodybuilding magazines. I think now they're looking at the bodybuilding Instagram pages. But I think a lot of gay men are interested in looking at bodybuilders because that's something that turns them on or whatever. But I don't think there's a disproportionately higher or lower amount of bodybuilders that are gay in the sport. I don't think being gay makes you attracted to being a bodybuilder. I think that the whatever the numbers of gay men in bodybuilding versus straight are, it's probably very similar to the general population. But there is a definite population of gay men who like bodybuilders, and they go to the shows, they show up at the expos. I don't have a problem with anyone. I have a problem with no one. I don't care what your preference is. Most of them are really nice people, and they just enjoy watching that. Just like a bunch of hetero guys might go to a strip club at night to look at naked girls. The bodybuilders, the bodybuilding gay guys would go to the bodybuilding shows to look at the guys up on stage, and that's how it works. And like I said, I don't think it has any influence on who does bodybuilding. I just think it's just there is a group of people that enjoy looking at male bodybuilders.
Take one more question. I'm currently down from 222 to 187 on a cut, although I noticed the weight loss is stalling. I'm doing 65 minutes cardio 5-6 times a week, 3.5 speed, 10 incline on the treadmill, and then stair stepper on Sundays. My calories are already too low. Any tips on overcoming a plateau? I guess in this case, for losing weight, it's mentally draining, but I don't want to give up.
Yeah, I think your cardio is too high intensity, to be honest with you. You're doing stepper, you're doing walking on a treadmill with a 10 incline. I would knock that incline down to 0. I would stay off the Stairmaster. I think it's too high intensity, and I think it might be burning you out a little bit. And I would probably take a couple days off of I would lower the cardio down real low, maybe 20 minutes a day. Maybe do that for a week, and then increase your carbs also during this week so that you kind of get a reset. You're going to boost metabolism a little bit by adding those carbs back in because you say you're not losing weight anymore. And you're going to cut your cardio back. And then the week after you do this, you'll cut your carbs back again, increase the cardio again. And I bet you'll see a huge drop in weight. And I think the fat losses will start again. It looks like you're on a major plateau right now, and probably induced by the fact that you were doing such high intensity cardio.
That's going to do it for this episode of Ask Dave. If you haven't already done so, subscribe below, hit the notification bell. We have all new episodes of the Heavy Muscle Radio Show as well as the After Hours podcast. Couple of interesting videos as well on the channel now. Dave did this peptide seminar at the NPC North Coast about a month ago. So we split the video into different parts. The main aspect of it is a lecture on peptides, Dave's thoughts on peptides, and then in the follow-up of the Q&As, we're going to put those up individually because they were all different topics, so we wanted to make separate videos out of each of them. And then, of course, the other video, Dave, you want to chime in a little bit on this? We put this up on the channel yesterday. It's the video of you getting the bony tumor removed from your forehead.
Yes. Dr. Blau, who we all know is my good friend, who does the gynecomastia surgeries the last 30 years. He has a woman working with him now, another plastic surgeon, board certified, Dr. Liz Zellner. I love her. She is awesome. She actually has her specialty, which was actually that she did at the same school that I went to medical school at, New York Medical College. She used to fix like kids who would have bony deformities, who were born with bony deformities. So she's an expert at like remolding the skull and all these, fixing bony like problems in kids, which is probably the hardest thing to do. And so she's super talented. She's now working with Dr. Blau. He taught her everything he knows about gynecomastia surgery. I've seen some of the surgery she's done now at his office, and the gynecomastia surgeries are coming out amazing. She is awesome. She got a great touch. She did this thing in my head. She's like a bony expert. Most surgeons wouldn't touch it. I still have some swelling here, so from it, and it's I have to go get a cortisone shot in there to help shrink that up a little bit. But she did a great job at it. I wanted to show everyone, the gruesome surgery. It looks barbaric, and it really is. I literally had a hammer and a mallet was being hit in my head. And what I realized for the first time, Sid, was when someone hits you with a hammer and a chisel, you realize that your head is nothing more than a coconut shell. That's exactly what I felt like. I was hitting a coconut shell, and I did have a headache the next day, but it subsided pretty quickly. And that's just a testament to how good she is with what she does. And there's another video. They did a carbon dioxide CO2 laser on me, where they remove a layer of skin And that's the second video that's going to be coming up to make me look younger if possible. But this is her numbing me up, and then she eventually will open up the incision there, and then she basically starts chopping away at the little bony. I had to look a little bony. I don't know. I guess you'd call it like a little bony tumor or something like that. I don't know. It wasn't really a tumor, but it was from probably hitting my head too many times as a kid growing up, and as an adult for that matter. So if you have any needs, she does everything. She does breast implants. She does liposuction. She's, once again, her and Modi are doing, her and Dr. Bly are doing the gynecomastia surgery still. He's still hanging in there. He was supposed to retire, but he can't. He's just too good at what he does, and he loves it too much. So you guys are lucky. Get in there. Get that guy. Look, I've been talking to a lot of guys at Masters this weekend who had a lot of gyno that needed to be removed. I have a few guys already lined up to go see her and get the surgery done. Look, women get breast implants, men get them removed. And you got to do it, because I see a lot of bad chests out there. If you're going to compete at a high level and you want to be pro one day, you got to get the gynecomastia taken out. It just does not look good on stage. Look, I remember when Ronnie Coleman had it. He had to have it taken out. It was terrible. So you can't. Very few people can actually get through to the pro ranks without getting their gyno removed. And if it is bothering you, something can be done. It doesn't take that long to recover. It's a 3-week recovery max, and you're back in the gym doing everything full time. It's really a pretty easy surgery. And the key is going to someone who knows what they're doing and make sure they're board certified. Like I said, contact, we'll put in the description Dr. Blau and Dr. Liz's contact information. They're in White Plains, New York. You will not be disappointed, I promise you.
So again, subscribe below, hit the notification bell, and if you're not already following us on Instagram, official_RX Muscle. We're going to be at the Tampa Pro in a week and a half, and then 2 weeks after that, Dave and I will be at the Texas Pros. So a lot of prime contest coverage over the course of the next month. Obviously, the Atlanta Pro is going to be debuting in a men's open class as well. So that show is going to be in between Tampa and Texas. So 3 consecutive weeks. We also have the China Pro. So a lot of Olympia spots are going to be decided over the course of the next month. And we're going to bring it all to you here on this channel. Again, subscribe below, hit the notification bell, and follow us on Instagram, official_RX Muscle. For Dave Palumbo, I'm Sadiq Faruqi. We'll see you next time.